good morning, everyone. It's great to have you here. I know it's early, and you could hardly get in, I learned also. So I really appreciate your forcing your way through the entrance gates to be here at this really early time. But another reflection I made when I looked out, I think our industry has some work to do on gender diversity. So look yourself around and you will see why I made that remark. With the industry pivoting towards 5G, we set out about 2 years ago to be technology leader and market leader based on a focus strategy. In our focus strategy, we doubled down on our service provider customers, and we increased our investments in R&D. So over the last 2 years, we've hired 4,000 engineers into R&D to regain or reclaim technology leadership. At the same time, we aggressively cut costs. And we're now taking the next step, focused on disciplined, profitable growth. We have announced 10 contracts with named customers for 5G, and that's more than any other vendor. We have 42 memorandums of understanding with operators and industrial partners, and we have numerous, or actually I would call them countless, engagements. And we are, as of today, rolling out 5G networks in North America with live traffic. We are rolling out in Europe, Australia and Asia. So the technology is here and we have more to come. We are truly switching on 5G in 2019. But 5G brings much more than faster connectivity. 5G will be the digital backbone of the future society, connecting billions of devices. Basically, 5G will be a vital national infrastructure. In this context, there is clearly a growing debate about national security tied to the cell phone networks and how we protect or ensure the integrity and security of the networks. I would say these are critical decisions for nations. So let me be very clear. Ericsson does not have a view on that. Neither should we have a view on that. It's really up to nations to decide how they drive their national security policy. But one thing is certain, as we talk to our customers, they are feeling the uncertainty and they are concerned. They have a large amount of invested capital and investments into the networks. So of course, the current uncertainty impacts them. What we have also heard in recent weeks is that it's a high risk that Europe would fall behind in rolling out 5G. And it's true, there is such a risk. But the reasons why we would fall behind in Europe are not always accurate. The European service providers have access to 5G technology. But they also have an interest in pursuing 5G as operators. So the progress in Europe is much rather blocked by high spectrum fees, uncertain spectrum situation, and heavy regulation. So I would say the European problem is much more a general investment problem and the attractiveness of investing in your network in Europe. So a good example of that, or actually I would say even an unfortunate example of that, is the 4G situation in Europe. So 4G in Europe has much lower coverage than other regions in the world. So in Europe, or in North America as well as Northeast Asia, we talk 85 to 90% coverage, whereas in Europe we're talking more like 60% coverage of 4G. So with that in mind, it's not a surprise that we see the web economy and the new companies coming out in the digital economy being dominated by Chinese and American tech giants. But in 4G, it was a clear first mover advantage, and we see the same thing in 5G. Consumers and enterprises are waiting for 5G. And Ericsson Consumer Lab research, when we did the interviews of global smartphone users, we see that a majority of them would either change immediately or within 6 months to a provider providing 5G. So here there is a clear first mover advantage for the operator moving into 5G. And what we see is that today Asia and North America are leading the way. Service providers and governments that sit on the sidelines run the risk of being surpassed by faster moving operators as well as faster moving countries. I would say the stakes have never been higher. The first 5G offerings on a commercial scale will clearly be for enhanced mobile broadband. So we will be focused on massive and highly cost-efficient capacity expansion for mobile broadband to consumers. We will also see a flurry of new applications such as AR, VR, and they are ready to take off in areas such as gaming, sports broadcasting, sports event, etc. But with 5G, we move well beyond the consumer space. It's the industrial internet. 5G will be critical to realize the vision of billion connected devices. And 5G will create huge opportunities for industrial applications and well beyond that. The increasing use of robotics will dramatically transform future manufacturing systems. Smart cities will also transform the way cities will look in the future. But it also means that service providers will need to build enterprise capabilities to be successful in this future. It's more than selling SIM cards. And we are certain that early movers among the service provider to attack the enterprise segment will also have a first mover advantage. But as we build this type of infrastructure for the future, security and reliability will be even more important. With 5G, security is not an add-on. It's built from the start as part of the standardization process. Yet 5G, the standard will not be enough to ensure a secure use of the 5G network. What will really determine the security of the network will actually be the status of products, network design and configuration, and operational procedures. And this is, of course, something that both vendors as well as service providers will impact. And that will be on top of the standard available, or the security standard available in the 5G standard. And here, post-development testing of vendors' products is often positioned as a silver bullet to ensure security status of deployed telecom networks. Of course, we will let decision makers and regulators decide on what to do, and will comply with whatever is decided. But we would say that post-development testing is an insufficient tool to ensure integrity of the network. And why is that? Well, a couple of reasons. You will only test basically a limited representation of the network. And it doesn't include all the factors that I just mentioned, such as products, protocols, and whatever has gone into the network. So we believe post-development testing runs the risk of creating a false sense of security. The second part is that it runs the risk of slowing down innovation. And you know, all modern software architecture or software is deployed continuously. So if everything is also then going to be tested, it will have to slow down the process. And it's going to cost more. So it will be a tax burden on the industry. And we believe even as we move into the enterprise segment, there will be even more features continuously deployed into the network because more functionality will be in the network. So post-development testing will slow down the application of industrial applications. So countries again that chose post-development testing runs the risk of being less competitive. Ultimately, enterprises may have to pay the heavy price for testing, even though they didn't get a more secure 5G infrastructure. But let me, instead of talking about geopolitics, focus on applications of 5G and a couple of grades of 5G. In 5G grade manufacturing, emerging technologies like digital twins, cloud robotics promise very flexible industrial processes. And with computing power moving into the cloud, we see a great uptake in the wireless manufacturing. And this will allow immense flexibility. For example, with wireless connected, battery-powered, inexpensive robots. This will fundamentally change the manufacturing systems. How they're designed, where they're located, but it will also allow for mass customization. Here we're working with Osram and Deutsche Telekom on prototyping and testing a mobile robotic solution at the Osram factory in Schwabmünchen. Automated guided vehicles will be used to transport goods across the Osram shop floor. And this is a solution that actually combines and integrates public and private LTE. And it's often going to be enhanced with the local edge cloud capability. So in 5G grade automotive, the high capacity and low latency characteristics of 5G will be the key differentiators or cornerstones of future vehicles and transportation solutions. So we recently signed a deal with Volvo Cars, basically to enable their digital services, but also enabling a very different user experience for their end customers. Another example that you actually can see over here is our work with Telia and Einride. And that is to power an all-electric autonomous transport ecosystem at the DB Schenker facility in Jönköping, Sweden. That takes fleet management to a completely new level. And Ericsson radio system and Ericsson Cloud Core for 5G are providing the high-performance connectivity to an Einride's T-pod, which basically is a driverless vehicle. And we believe this will lead to a true transformation of the transportation chain in the future. So 5G is being deployed and is being commercialized in many markets. But we also know that 5G will not happen everywhere overnight. We know data traffic is basically growing 80% year over year. And a lot of our customers and service providers globally will rely on 4G to solve that capacity need. So we believe 4G will be a critical infrastructure for a long period to come. We actually forecast that 60% of the subscriptions will be LTE based in the end of 2024. At the same time, we forecast that about 1.5 billion of the subscriptions in 2024 will be 5G. So even though it's a small percentage, it will be a big number of connected devices. Our Ericsson radio system has been 5G ready since 2015. And it can be updated to carry 5G NR traffic with a software installation. And in fact, we have shipped more than 3 million 5G ready radios to our customers worldwide. So our customers are well positioned to move fast into 5G. We are evolving our 5G platform with portfolio additions across core, radio, transport areas, but also into orchestration. The add-ons make our platform much more dynamic and flexible and will enable service providers to smoothly evolve their networks into 5G. And here at Mobile World Congress, and you will see that behind me, we're launching 9 new radios in dual band, triple band, as well as massive MIMO. Antenna design is going also to be increasingly important. And we see that with new frequencies as well as multiple technologies. At the same time, radios and antennas are being consolidated and integrated to optimize site space and overall network performance. We see that even more powerful 5G networks will basically depend even more on the antenna technologies for performance, capacity and coverage. And you may already have seen that, but earlier this morning we announced that we intend to acquire Katrain's antenna and filter business for mobile networks. This will strengthen our in-house antenna capabilities, and it's an important step for our networks portfolio strategy. The acquisition will strengthen our competence and capabilities both in passive and active antennas. We will be adding about 4,000 highly capable professionals in R&D, but also in production and sales, with locations in several places around the world, but based in Germany. Our unique Ericsson spectrum sharing is the most economically feasible way for our customers to introduce 5G in existing networks and existing bands. Here we can dynamically mix 4G and 5G traffic on the same spectrum. So this means that spectrum will always be optimally used between 4G and 5G, depending basically on the number of devices and the consumption of data within the cell. So it will be a very smart way of using one of the most valuable assets in the mobile industry, the spectrum. When we started the journey of spectrum sharing, we were told it's impossible. That's wrong. Our highly capable engineers have been able to develop solutions that allow our customers to be front runner moving into 5G. We also provide a common core network for 4G and 5G, as well as earlier standards. The dual mode 5G cloud-based core solution is cloud native for automated capacity management, efficiency and robust operations. And our evolved Ericsson dynamic orchestration solution introduces automated network slicing. So that comprises of basically the creation, testing and deployment of network slices to fast introduce 5G services. The solution also implements AI-powered closed-loop automation for hybrid networks in a multi-vendor environment to basically identify service impact and adopt the network in real time to deliver the best user experience. So, with our portfolio, our customers will be in the lead moving into 5G. Driven by global demand for connected and software-defined products, cellular IoT is becoming the standard of choice for wide area IoT applications. We see that cellular IoT connections will represent at least 4 billion connections by 2024, and that's an annual growth rate of 27%. Today, Ericsson enables more than half of narrowband IoT networks and Cat-M networks available. We want to make connectivity easy for enterprises, and we have today more than 3,500 enterprises utilizing our IoT accelerator platform through our service provider customers. We're also investing heavily in applying AI to network data that we actually have from running networks with almost 1 billion subscribers globally, that can allow us to find solutions to optimize for efficiency, performance and coverage. We have boosted network design for SoftBank in Japan with our AI-based advanced elastic RAN solution. This basically resulted in a 40% less lead time to design, but it also doubled the throughput. And here, our new managed services offering, Ericsson Operations Engine, which you can see over there, reduced critical network problems by more than 60% and improved customer experience by 20% for an Asian Tier 1 service provider. And that's based on using automated tools and AI. And you can see us showcasing and I hope you get some time to go and see our operations engine. It's very exciting to see. Ericsson is also a strong supporter in openness in the industry, as we think that is providing benefits to the ecosystem, but also to the innovation. We're already a key contributor to several open fora, including ONAP, OpenStack and Linux. And you may have seen that we just recently joined the ORAN Alliance as well. We also continue to be the largest contributor in 3GPP, focused on 5G radio, core, orchestration and security, but also enterprise capabilities such as network slicing. But in our research, we also look beyond 5G, and we take then a 5-year plus time frame. We focused our research on a couple of areas, being zero touch, real-time distributed automation, the trustworthiness of telecom networks, integrated connectivity and edge compute, as well as 5G evolution and beyond. We also continue to push the boundaries to show new concept and futuristic concept here at Mobile World Congress. Today we deploy our 5G system with hundreds of cooperating antennas or antenna elements. And we believe the next step will be to distribute antennas everywhere. And we're already pushing antenna development into the size of a matchbox. But in our labs, we're also looking to create antennas so small and so flexible that we can integrate them with adhesive tape. We call them radio stripes. And they could actually provide truly ubiquitous connectivity in dense cities. And here you have a radio stripe. We believe this is going to revolutionize the future of antennas. And you can see I have a few kilometers in my pocket. We think this is going to be extraordinarily interesting for indoor coverage, but also in stadiums, factories and warehouses. As 5G now is becoming a commercial reality, we at Ericsson are well prepared. We have the capacity, we have the resources, and we have the supply chain geared up for a fast deployment and rollout of 5G. We have a complete and dynamic and flexible 5G portfolio, and our strategy continues to be to work with lead customers in lead markets to have lead solutions for them. And we do this where spectrum becomes available. So our top priority is always to work with the leading customers in the leading markets where spectrum is available. But that's what Ericsson is all about. We're focused on being technology leaders, helping our customers to move into the future. And we are where the market really matters. I believe we have never been at a more exciting time in our industry. We see a big technology change, a technology shift happening in front of our eyes, and we are well positioned to capture the benefits here. And together, we are going to change the world. Thank you.